You
Why does
swore
my
an
daughter
oath
call you
to the
father
crown.
human?
How
The
dare
alien
you
queen
betray
roared.
us?
Captain Elia Stone stood on the
You
bridge
will
of the
pay for
starship
this.
Valor's Pride, eyes fixed on the glowing blue-green orb of Vekara. It was his first time seeing this distant world, and he could feel the anticipation vibrating through the metal deck beneath his boots. The planet was unlike any humanity had encountered. Towering crystalline forests shimmered under the light of three suns, and rivers of liquid silver carved paths through glowing plains. From orbit, it looked almost peaceful, but Elia's new appearances could be deceiving. Intelligence hid in every corner of the galaxy, and sometimes the most beautiful worlds were also the most dangerous. "Captain," Lieutenant Myra Lopez said, breaking his reverie. Her voice was calm but firm. "Sensors show no hostile ships in orbit, but life forms are abundant. Their energy signatures are complex. I've never seen anything like this." Elias nodded. "Good, let's keep it that way. Remember, we're here to observe, not interfere. First contact is delicate. We don't want to give them a reason to see us as a threat." Mara gave a small nod, but her eyes betrayed curiosity and excitement. For years, the crew of Valor's Pride had trained for moments like this, the chance to witness alien life firsthand. But training could never truly prepare someone for the reality of it. The Valor's Pride descended slowly, slipping through the thick atmosphere of Vekara like a silver arrow. Outside the window, the alien world unfolded in breathtaking detail. Forests of crystalline trees reflected the sun's rays in a dazzling array of colors, rivers sparkled with an almost liquid mirror sheen, and strange creatures with translucent wings flitted across the sky. "Captain," a voice called from the communications console. It was Lieutenant Curran Duz. "I'm picking up a signal, not structured like any language we know. It's musical in a way, almost like speech and song together." Elias frowned. "Keep recording it, don't respond. Let's not provoke anything unintentionally." The ship's landing zone was a wide plateau at the edge of one of the largest silver rivers. As the landing gear touched down, the hull of the ship hummed softly. The crew prepared to disembark, each aware that first impressions would matter more than any weapon. Elias was the first to step onto the alien soil. The ground was firm but surprisingly warm underfoot, pulsing faintly with energy. He glanced around and noticed movement in the distance. A group of figures approached, their forms tall and insectoid with shining carapaces that caught the sunlight. They moved gracefully, each step precise, almost like a dance. Elias raised his hands in a peaceful gesture. "We come in friendship, we mean no harm." The figures paused. One stepped forward. She was larger than the rest, her presence commanding attention even from a distance. Her wings shimmered with patterns Elias had never seen, and her eyes, large and multifaceted, reflected a depth of intelligence that made him pause. "I am Queen Vekara," she said, her voice echoing in Elias' mind rather than through the air. It was both strange and beautiful, a sound that seemed to reach directly to thought. "You are humans. Why do you come to my world?" Elias bowed slightly, respecting the formality of alien custom he did not fully understand. "We are explorers, Queen Vekara. We seek understanding and peaceful contact, nothing more." The Queen's eyes narrowed slightly, though there was no malice, only caution. "Humans are known across the expanse," she said. "Some fear your kind, some admire you. Why should I trust you?" Elias swallowed. He had anticipated skepticism, but there was something almost personal in her tone, as if she knew more than she revealed. "Because we believe in cooperation, not conquest. Because we value life in all its forms. Because perhaps in some ways our survival depends on learning from others." There was a pause. The other figures behind the Queen shifted, their wings brushing together softly. Then, surprisingly, a smaller figure stepped forward. She was clearly younger, smaller, yet she carried herself with grace. Her wings were shorter and her gaze was curious, unafraid. "Father?" she asked suddenly. The word was soft but clear, carrying a warmth Elias did not expect. He froze. Queen Vekara's voice roared in his mind, a shock of fury mixed with confusion. "Why does my daughter call you father, human?" Elias stumbled back, his mind racing. Father. How could this child call him that? He had never met her before, yet her words struck something deep inside him, a strange tug he could not explain. I don't know," Elias said carefully. "I swear, Your Majesty, I have no claim, no connection." "I have never seen this child before." The Queen's multifaceted eyes blazed with light. "She does not lie. How is this possible?" The young princess, Lyra, he now understood her name to be, looked at him with wide, trusting eyes. "He helps me," she said simply. "He listens to me. He understands me in a way no one else does." The queen's expression softened slightly, but suspicion lingered. "Humans can sometimes be unpredictable," she muttered, almost to herself. "They may have left their mark on us in ways we do not yet understand. This child may be the result." Elias kept his hands visible, showing he meant no harm. "I am willing to learn, Your Majesty. If there is a connection, I will honor it, but I need to understand it first." There was tension in the air, an unspoken challenge. The other alien figures observed silently, their antennae twitching. The young princess stepped closer to Elias, placing a delicate hand on his armored chest. The touch was light, yet it carried a weight of trust that stunned him. "Do not fear me, father," she said, her voice calm. "I am not in danger, but I need you. I want you to help me." The queen's wings fluttered in agitation. "This is unprecedented," she said. "Humans are not supposed to be involved in our lineage, yet here you are." Elias took a slow breath. "Then let us proceed carefully. I do not want to anger you or your people, but I also do not want to abandon a child in need. We must learn together." The queen studied him. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, her posture relaxed. "Very well. You may accompany us, human, but know this, one wrong move and you will face the consequences of your actions. I will protect my daughter at all costs." Elias nodded. "I understand, and I promise no harm will come to her under my watch." With that, the queen signaled the others, and Elias followed them toward their city, a towering structure of crystalline spires that reflected the light of the suns in dazzling patterns. Along the way, he observed the alien civilization in action. The creatures worked together with remarkable precision, using tools and devices he could barely comprehend. Their society was advanced, yet it had an elegance and grace that humanity often lacked. Lyra stayed close to Elias, chattering softly in a musical language that he could not yet understand. He responded with gestures and simple words, and she seemed satisfied, occasionally giggling at his attempts. For the first time, Elias felt the strange connection was real. By the time they reached the palace, the sun was dipping below the horizon, casting the crystalline towers in gold and violet light. Guards escorted them to a grand hall, where the queen sat upon a throne that shimmered like liquid crystal. "You will dine with us," the queen said. "Tonight we observe, tomorrow we begin understanding." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of the situation. He was not just a visitor now, he was a participant in something far greater than diplomacy. There was a bond forming here, mysterious and deep, and he could not ignore it. As he sat across from the queen and Princess Lyra, Elias glanced at the child's trusting eyes and felt a flicker of hope. Humanity had always reached for the stars, and now, for the first time, it seemed that the stars might reach back, not with weapons but with trust and connection. The night stretched on, filled with conversation, cautious observation, and quiet curiosity. Outside the windows, Vekara's forests sparkled under the twin moons, a reminder that even in the vastness of space, life found ways to shine. And for Elias, the question of why Princess Lyra called him father remained unanswered. Yet deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning of a journey that could change the fate of both humans and the people of Vekara forever. The morning sun of Vekara rose over the crystalline towers of the palace, painting the city in shades of gold and violet. Captain Elias Stone stood on the balcony overlooking the river of liquid silver, trying to understand the events of the previous evening. The question of why Princess Lyra had called him father refused to leave his mind. "Captain Stone," Lieutenant Mara Lopez's voice came from behind him. She held a datapad with the soft hum of alien technology. "I've been reviewing the archives you requested. There's something you need to see." Elias turned, his curiosity piqued. "Show me." The archives were vast, older than any records humans had encountered. They spoke of generations, wars, treaties, and experiments, but one section stood out. It was heavily encrypted, requiring him to interface directly with the alien systems. As his neural link connected with the archive, images and data streams flooded his mind. There it was, a file almost too unbelievable to accept. Decades ago, human explorers had sent probes into the Andromeda expanse. Some probes carried living samples, seeds, and genetic material meant for research, not interference. But one of those probes had reached Vekara and had been integrated into the ecosystem by unknown forces. The result, a lineage that blended human DNA with that of the Vekara species. Elia's heart raced. Princess Lyra, she was part human, not by accident, but by the unintended consequences of humanity's own exploration. Could this explain her connection to me? He whispered, almost afraid to believe it. Myra nodded. It's possible. Her physiology shows markers unique to humans, but what's more, she has traits we've never seen before. Creativity, empathy, decision-making patterns, they're human, and she reacts to you in ways that suggest a natural recognition. Elias ran a hand through his hair. I never imagined humanity could leave such a mark so far from home. Before he could speak further, a voice called from the balcony doorway. Captain Stone, the Queen requests your presence. Princess Lyra stepped aside, her wings catching the sunlight. She wishes to discuss what you have found. Elias followed them into the throne room where Queen Vekara sat in her shimmering chair, wings slightly raised, her expression unreadable. You have been looking into our history, she said. Her voice was calm but sharp. And you have discovered something you should not have. Elias bowed slightly. Your Majesty, I did not seek to intrude. I was simply trying to understand why your daughter, he hesitated. Why Lyra calls me father. The Queen's eyes softened, though the light in them was still intense. I did not expect this to surface. The files are old, buried for generations. Humans, you left an imprint on my world long before this day. My people did not know it, yet the consequences remained. Lyra stepped forward. Mother, he has nothing to fear, I trust him. The Queen's wings fluttered, a sign of agitation mixed with contemplation. Your bond with her is real, she said finally. It is not forced, and yet it cannot be simple. There are consequences we must consider. Elias swallowed. I want to help your Majesty. If there is a connection, I want to honor it and understand it fully. The Queen regarded him for a long moment before nodding. Then you will stay under observation. You will meet the elders, you will learn of our ways, and perhaps you will find your place in this story. Over the next few days, Elias was guided through the alien city. The Vekara civilization was a marvel. Their architecture was alive, built with crystal and energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. Their society functioned with a precision and cooperation that reminded Elias of a well-orchestrated symphony, each member contributing perfectly to the whole. Lyra followed him everywhere, a shadow with wings. She was curious, energetic, and surprisingly perceptive. She watched him closely, asking questions in her musical language. Although he could not understand her fully, her tone and gestures made the meaning clear. You are different, she said one evening as they walked along the Silver River, her voice carrying across the wind like a melody. Humans think in ways we do not. You see things differently. You create solutions from nothing. Elias smiled. That's part of what makes humans human. We adapt, we imagine, we try. Lyra nodded thoughtfully. I like that. I like how you try. Most adults do not. They follow rules. Elias looked at her, suddenly aware of the depth of her understanding. You are very wise for your age, Lyra. She tilted her head. Perhaps, because I have more than one world inside me. The words struck him deeply. He realized that her identity, part human and part Vekara, was not a burden but a gift. And that gift connected her to him in ways neither of them fully understood yet. Meanwhile, Queen Vekara observed from a distance, her expression unreadable. She had ruled for centuries, yet this situation tested her in ways she had never anticipated. Her daughter's bond with a human was unprecedented, and while she was proud of Lyra's courage, she could not ignore the potential dangers. In the palace council, Elias met the elders of Vekara. They were wise, ancient beings whose knowledge of the universe rivaled humanity's greatest scholars. At first, they were wary, questioning his motives and his humanity. But Elias' calm demeanor, respect for their ways, and willingness to learn won their trust. Your presence here is unusual, one elder said. Her eyes, reflecting multiple facets like gemstones, studied him carefully. Yet the signals of recognition are strong. The child acknowledges you, and there is resonance. Something in you echoes within her. Elias nodded. I feel it too. I don't know why, but there's a bond. I want to honor it, not exploit it. The elder considered him. Then perhaps your arrival was not by chance. Perhaps humans have a role in our future, one that we have not yet understood. Days turned into weeks. Elias trained with the Vekara in their arts of strategy and observation. He shared human techniques in engineering, improvisation, and problem-solving, earning quiet admiration. The more he interacted, the more he understood that humanity's strength was not in power, but in adaptability, creativity, and empathy. Lyra thrived under his guidance. She learned to combine her natural abilities with his teachings, creating strategies and solutions the elders had never considered. Together, they explored the forests of Vekara, finding hidden life forms, observing patterns, and testing theories. Each day, her trust in him grew, and with it, the undeniable bond between human and alien child deepened. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the crystalline city, Lyra turned to Elias with a serious expression. "Father, do you think humans are like us?" "Not fully, but part of us," Elias thought carefully. "I think humans are something unique. We may not be like the Vekara, but we have qualities that can complement yours, and together we can be stronger than either of us alone." Lyra smiled. "I like that. I like being strong with you." Elias felt a warmth in his chest. This bond was more than genetics or coincidence. It was trust, understanding, and shared courage. It was humanity's strength in action, lifting others, connecting worlds, and inspiring hope. But not all were pleased. Whispers in the palace spoke of fear. Some elders questioned whether humans could be trusted, whether Elias' presence might provoke other empires, or worse, spark conflict. Queen Vekara herself struggled with the unknown. She wanted to protect her daughter, but also feared the implications of this unexpected human connection. One morning, alarms blared across the palace. Sensors had detected distant fleets entering Vekara's sector. Their movements were deliberate, hostile. Intelligence suggested a coalition of neighboring empires had learned of human influence and intended to challenge Vekara's sovereignty. The queen summoned Elias immediately. Her wings were raised in agitation, her multifaceted eyes flashing. "Your kind has left its mark. Now our enemies see it as a threat. Tell me, human, what do you propose?" Elias straightened, meeting her gaze. "We prepare, we strategize, we defend without unnecessary bloodshed. I will help your warriors learn new ways to adapt. Together we can face them." The queen studied him, a mixture of doubt and hope in her eyes. "You will teach them?" "Yes," Elias said firmly. "Not as a conqueror, but as a partner. I will share what humanity does best: creativity, adaptation, teamwork. That is our greatest weapon." Lyra stepped beside him, her small hand brushing his. "And I will help too. We will protect our home together." The queen's wings drooped slightly, her voice quieter now. "Then we shall see if your presence here is a gift or a danger." As the day ended, Elias stood on the balcony once more, watching the silver river glint under the twin moons. He felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. Vekara was no longer just an observation mission. It had become a test of humanity's values, of trust, and of courage. And somewhere deep inside, he understood that this bond with Lyra, this hidden link, was the key not just to their survival, but to the potential of uniting worlds. Humanity had reached far beyond Earth, and now it was up to them to prove that their best qualities could shine across the galaxy. The twin moons of Vekara hung high in the violet sky, casting long shadows over the crystalline towers of the palace. Captain Elias Stone stood in the strategy chamber, surrounded by holographic displays and alien maps. The warning from the palace sensors was clear. Fleets from neighboring empires were heading toward Vekara. Their speed, formation, and weaponry indicated a planned assault. Queen Vekara's wings twitched with tension. She circled the room, her eyes scanning the maps and energy patterns. "They believe our connection to the humans is a weakness," she said. "They do not understand the bond between your species and mine, but they will test it." Elias stepped forward, his voice steady. "Then we will not wait for them to test it. We will be ready. The strength of Vekara has always been in unity. We will combine that with human ingenuity. Together, we can turn their expectations against them." The queen's gaze sharpened. "Explain this ingenuity." Elias tapped a panel, bringing up simulations of battle formations. "Humans adapt quickly. We think outside patterns. In a fight, we improvise. We find solutions when none exist. Your warriors are powerful and disciplined, but their tactics are structured. I will teach them flexibility, creativity, and strategies that even the strongest enemy cannot predict." The elders murmured among themselves. Some were skeptical, others intrigued. Elias knew it would take more than words. He would have to demonstrate the value of his methods. "Start the training immediately," the queen commanded. "Our warriors must learn these new ways. Every hour counts." Over the following days, Elias led small groups of Vekara soldiers through drills unlike anything they had experienced. Instead of rigid formations, he encouraged improvisation. He taught them to anticipate multiple outcomes at once, to use the environment strategically, and to trust both instinct and logic. "Do not rely on strength alone," he told them during a training session by the Silver River. "Strength can break bones, but strategy wins battles. Observe, adapt, learn, together you can overcome any challenge." Princess Lyra shadowed him constantly, eager to participate. She was quick, intelligent, and fearless. Elias found himself impressed by her ability to grasp advanced tactics, even outpacing some of the seasoned soldiers. She would nod, gesture, or suggest maneuvers in her musical language, and he would interpret them, blending her ideas with human strategies. "See," he said to a group of warriors, "even a child can think in ways you haven't. The mind is the greatest weapon we have." The elders watched in silence, slowly realizing the truth in his words. Vekara had long valued discipline and strength, but the unpredictability of human thought, and now the hybrid ingenuity of Lyra, was a force they had never considered. Meanwhile, scouts reported that the enemy fleets were approaching fast, faster than initially predicted. Queen Vekara called an emergency council. "They do not come to negotiate," she said, her wings flaring. "They come to conquer, to claim our resources, and perhaps to eliminate the human influence they fear." Elias nodded grimly. "Then we must give them a reason to regret underestimating us. We do not fight because we seek war, but because we must survive, and we will survive together." Lyra's small voice spoke from behind him. "We can do this, Father. I trust you." Her confidence, simple yet profound, gave Elias renewed determination. "Then we begin," he said, turning to face the council. "We will combine human strategy with your strength. We will use our knowledge of the terrain, our energy technology, and our creativity. We can defend Vekara without unnecessary loss." The queen's expression softened slightly, though her wings remained tense. "Very well, you will lead, human, but know this, the moment you fail, it will be your responsibility." Elias met her gaze, unwavering. "I accept that responsibility." As the first enemy scouts approached the outer atmosphere, Elias worked tirelessly. He coordinated with Lyra to set traps and reconnaissance points along the rivers and crystalline forests. They studied the enemy ships' patterns, predicting their movements. With Lyra's hybrid intuition and Elias' tactical reasoning, they devised strategies that even the queen had never considered. On the eve of the attack, Elias addressed the soldiers. "Tomorrow they will come expecting the usual defenses. They will expect to overpower you with numbers and firepower. But we will surprise them. Trust in your training, trust in each other, and trust in the unexpected. Remember, strength alone does not win battles. Courage, adaptability, and unity do." Lyra stepped forward, her small wings spread wide. "And I will fight with you," she said. "We fight together and we protect our home. We are Vekara." The soldiers, inspired by her words and the human captain standing beside her, responded with a unified cheer. The energy in the room shifted. Fear was replaced with resolve. When the enemy fleets entered Vekara's atmosphere, their ships glinted against the twin moons. They moved with precision, expecting the Vekara warriors to respond predictably. But Elias had anticipated this. Small groups of Vekara, trained under his guidance, moved unpredictably through the forests and river valleys, using the terrain to their advantage. Energy barriers shimmered, and strategically placed traps slowed the enemy advance. Vekara pilots adapted human-inspired maneuvers, zigzagging unpredictably and splitting forces to confuse the attackers. For the first time, their disciplined strength combined with human flexibility created a defense that the enemy had not foreseen. Elias moved among them, coordinating strikes and improvising as situations changed. Lyra darted through the battlefield, her wings glowing, directing soldiers and suggesting new strategies. Together, they formed a synergy, a human mind guiding the instincts and strength of Vekara warriors in ways that no enemy could predict. The queen observed from her command center, a mixture of awe and disbelief in her eyes. "The human, he is not like others," she said softly. "He does not dominate, but he inspires, and my daughter, she has found her strength." Hours passed. The enemy fleets, frustrated by the unexpected tactics and coordination, began to falter. Their formations broke, and their leaders struggled to respond to the unpredictable defenses. One by one, their ships were forced to retreat or were captured without massive casualties. When the final enemy vessel disengaged and disappeared beyond the horizon, the battlefield fell silent. The Vekara soldiers, though exhausted, stood tall. They had faced a force they had once feared would destroy them, and had prevailed. Elias breathed deeply, relief washing over him. Lyra landed beside him, her wings trembling slightly from exhaustion. "We did it," she whispered, smiling. Elias knelt beside her. "Yes, we did, and we did it together." Queen Vekara entered the field, her wings shimmering in the light of the setting suns. She approached Elias slowly, her expression unreadable at first. Then, with a graceful motion, she lowered her wings slightly. "Captain Stone, you have done what many thought impossible. You have not only helped my daughter, but you have shown the strength of humanity in its truest form. Courage, intelligence, and empathy, these are qualities we respect." Elias bowed. "Thank you, your majesty, but I could not have done this alone. Princess Lyra and your warriors, their bravery made this victory possible." The queen studied Lyra for a moment, then back at Elias. "Perhaps humans are not a threat. Perhaps they are a gift. And this bond between you and my daughter, it may shape the future of Vekara more than I could have imagined." Lyra reached up, taking both of their hands. "We protect our world together, human and Vekara." Elias looked at the young princess, feeling a deep sense of purpose. Humanity had reached far beyond Earth, and now their qualities, ingenuity, courage, empathy, had proven that they could inspire and elevate even an alien civilization. This was the essence of what he had always believed, that humans were capable of extraordinary things, not because of power alone, but because of their minds, their hearts, and their willingness to act. The queen's eyes softened fully now, her pride in Lyra mingling with respect for Elias. "Perhaps this is only the beginning," she murmured. As the twin moons rose over the crystalline towers, Elias and Lyra stood side by side, looking at the horizon. Enemy fleets may have returned someday, but for now, they had shown that unity, courage, and intelligence could overcome even overwhelming odds. And across the galaxy, whispers of human ingenuity and their capacity to inspire hope would begin to spread. For Captain Elias Stone, the battle was not just a victory of arms. It was proof that humanity could shine, even in the farthest reaches of space, as allies, protectors, and catalysts for greatness. And Princess Lyra had finally found the guidance she had been seeking, in the most unexpected of humans. The skies above Vekara darkened as the approaching fleets returned. This time, they were larger, faster, and more organized than before. The distant glint of metal and energy weapons reflected off the planet's crystalline forests, a warning that the enemy had learned from their earlier failure. Captain Elias Stone stood on the palace balcony, surveying the horizon. The first wave of enemy scouts had been a test. Now the full force was coming. Beside him, Princess Lyra's wings trembled with anticipation, yet her eyes were steady. She had learned much in the past weeks, but even she could sense the danger they faced. Queen Vekara appeared behind them, her wings raised in tension. "This time they will not underestimate us. They believe humanity's presence is a weakness, but they are wrong. We will defend our world, and perhaps surpass it." Elias nodded. "We've prepared. Your warriors are strong, disciplined, and now adaptable, and we have a strategy they cannot anticipate." Lyra turned to him. "Father, do you think we can win?" Elias knelt slightly to meet her gaze. "We don't just fight to win, we fight to protect. And when we fight together, we become stronger than they expect. Trust in our strength and in your own." The queen's voice echoed, firm yet calm. "Then we begin. Let the warriors take their positions. We will defend Vekara as one." The city's alarms blared, a rhythmic sound that resonated through the crystalline towers. Vekara's soldiers moved quickly, taking positions along the rivers, in the forests, and atop the tall spires. Energy barriers shimmered, designed to repel the first wave of attacks. Scouts and aerial patrols spread out, ready to relay real-time information to the command center. Elias coordinated the defenses alongside the queen. He used the terrain strategically, placing traps and decoys in locations the enemy would likely expect to be safe. Lyra moved among the soldiers, her quick mind anticipating the enemy's movements, suggesting maneuvers that combined her natural instincts with human strategy. As the first wave entered the atmosphere, the enemy ships moved in tight formations, expecting to overwhelm Vekara's defenses with sheer numbers. But Elias' preparations turned the battlefield into a puzzle the attackers could not solve. Energy fields redirected their fire, while cleverly disguised ambushes slowed their advance. "Now!" Elias shouted as Lyra guided a squadron of elite warriors through a hidden forest path. They struck at the enemy's flanks, forcing ships to scatter and break formation. The soldiers adapted quickly, using the environment and their energy weapons in ways the humans had suggested. The battlefield was alive with coordinated movement, a symphony of instinct and innovation. Queen Vekara observed from her command platform, her eyes sharp. "They adapt quickly," she said. "But can they maintain it?" Elias' voice was calm but confident. "They must, and they will. Humanity's strength lies not just in tactics, but in courage and adaptability. Your warriors are proving that they can rise above fear and expectation." The enemy responded with heavier fire. Crystalline towers trembled under the impact, sending shards of light scattering across the battlefield. Yet the Vekara soldiers remained disciplined, moving with purpose and precision. Where the enemy expected rigid patterns, they found unpredictable maneuvers that disrupted their formations. Lyra darted through the battle, her small frame moving with surprising speed. She directed squads, called out weaknesses in the enemy's strategy, and inspired soldiers with her courage. At one point, an enemy ship targeted her position, but Elias predicted the attack and ordered a countermove that saved her and turned the enemy's assault against them. "This is incredible," one elder whispered. "Never have our warriors fought with such unity and adaptability." Elias glanced at the queen. "It's not just human or Vekara strength, it's both combined. That is why they cannot predict us." The battle raged for hours. Enemy fleets attempted to breach the city, but every advance was met with clever counterattacks. Energy traps, human-inspired maneuvers, and Vekara strength combined to create a defense that became a nightmare for the attackers. Despite the chaos, Elias never lost sight of the soldiers' morale. He moved among them, offering encouragement, adjusting strategies, and keeping communication open. Lyra's presence beside him amplified the effect. Her hybrid intuition allowed her to anticipate dangers before they fully emerged, giving the soldiers an almost supernatural advantage. Queen Vekara joined them briefly on the battlefield, her presence both commanding and reassuring. "Remember, strength alone does not win this fight. Use your minds, your instincts, and your unity," she reminded the soldiers. Vekara survives when its people think, adapt, and act as one. As night fell, the battle reached its climax. The enemy fleet, exhausted and disorganized, launched a final assault aimed directly at the palace. Elias quickly analyzed their formation. "This is it. Use everything we've taught you. Don't fear. Move as one. The enemy cannot anticipate your unity." Lyra took the lead, her small form glowing with energy. "Follow me," she cried, guiding soldiers through hidden pathways and coordinating strikes that disrupted the enemy at critical points. Elias directed larger groups from strategic vantage points, combining human improvisation with Vekara precision. The enemy ships collided with energy barriers, crashed into forest traps, and were forced into positions that left them vulnerable to counterattacks. The final clash was intense, but the unity of human strategy and Vekara strength prevailed. The enemy fleet, unable to maintain order under constant, unpredictable attacks, began to retreat. One by one, ships disengaged, their leaders forced to acknowledge defeat. Silence fell over the battlefield. The Vekara warriors, though exhausted, stood tall. They had faced an enemy larger and stronger than before, and had prevailed without unnecessary loss. Elias lowered his visor, letting himself breathe for the first time in hours. Lyra landed beside him, her wings trembling from exertion but her eyes shining with triumph. "We did it," she whispered. Elias smiled. "Yes, we did, and it was not just strength or firepower, it was courage, creativity, and trust. You all made the difference." Queen Vekara approached them, her wings raised in pride. "Captain Stone, you have done more than fight a battle. You have shown the power of unity between worlds. Humanity's qualities, your intelligence, your courage, your empathy, have strengthened my people in ways I never imagined." Elias bowed. "Thank you, your majesty. But this victory belongs to Vekara. Your warriors' strength and bravery made this possible. I only guided them to see what they could already achieve." Lyra took both of their hands. "We protected our world together, human and Vekara side by side." The queen looked at them, her eyes softening. "Perhaps this bond is more than mere chance. Perhaps it is the future of our people, one where we grow stronger together, guided by courage, wisdom, and trust. As the twin moons rose over the shattered battlefield, the reflective light danced across the silver river and crystalline towers. Vekara had survived, and humanity's influence had proven not as a conqueror, but as a guide and ally. Elias stood beside Lyra, feeling a sense of accomplishment and responsibility. Humanity had reached far beyond Earth, and now, their values, intelligence, courage, empathy, and adaptability, had proven that they could inspire and elevate even an alien civilization. This was the essence of what he had always believed. Humans could shine not because of power alone, but because of their mind and heart. The Queen's voice broke the silence. Tomorrow, we will begin the process of rebuilding and strengthening our cities. But tonight, we celebrate our survival, our unity, and the bond between our worlds. Lyra looked up at Elias, smiling. Father, we will face more challenges, won't we? Elias nodded, his gaze steady. Yes, Lyra. But as long as we face them together, there is nothing we cannot overcome. And so, under the twin moons of Vekara, the young princess, the human captain, and the alien queen stood together, symbols of hope, unity, and the extraordinary possibilities that arise when different worlds join in trust and courage. The battle was won, but the story of human influence, hybrid courage, and interstellar collaboration had only just begun. The morning light spilled across Vekara, reflecting off the crystalline towers like thousands of tiny suns. The battle was over, but the planet's scars remained. Some forests were damaged, and parts of the city's outer walls had been shattered. Yet the spirit of the Vekara people was unbroken. In fact, it had grown stronger. Captain Elias Stone walked through the palace gardens, accompanied by Princess Lyra. The gardens, once untouched, had been damaged by the recent siege. Still, flowers of crystalline light shimmered among the ruins, a testament to Vekara resilience. Lyra paused to touch one of the glowing blooms. Even after the fight, life finds a way, she said softly. We survived, and we will grow stronger. Elias smiled, kneeling beside her. Yes, Lyra, that's the most important lesson. Strength is not just about fighting. It's about recovery, learning, and protecting what you love. The queen observed them from the palace balcony. Her wings, still slightly raised, indicated caution, but there was pride in her eyes. She had seen her daughter grow not just in strength, but in wisdom. And she had seen the human captain earn his place beside them, not as a conqueror, but as a guide, protector, and ally. Later, a council meeting gathered all the elders and leaders of Vekara. Elias stood at the center, reviewing the results of the siege and the steps needed for recovery. Despite the devastation, he could see hope. We have survived, he began, addressing the council. Not because of strength alone, but because we adapted, worked together, and trusted one another. Your warriors fought bravely, guided by courage and strategy. And we learned from each other. This is the future of Vekara, not just survival, but growth through unity. One elder, her eyes shining like polished gemstones, spoke carefully. You speak with wisdom, human. Your presence has changed our perspective. Perhaps we have underestimated what your kind can contribute to the galaxy. Elias nodded. Humanity has traveled far, and we continue to learn. We do not seek to dominate, but to share what we can. Intelligence, creativity, empathy, these are qualities that we hope can build bridges across the stars. And your daughter, Lyra, embodies the best of both our worlds. Lyra's wings fluttered with pride. She stepped forward, her eyes fixed on Elias. I am proud to stand with him. He has taught me courage, strategy, and how to think in ways I never imagined. We are not just Vekara or human. We are both, and together we are stronger. The queen finally descended from her balcony, moving gracefully to the center of the council. Her eyes were sharp, yet there was a softness to her gaze. Captain Stone, you have proven yourself. You have not only guided our people through danger, but you have inspired them to think beyond what they thought possible. Your influence is undeniable. Elias bowed slightly. Thank you, Your Majesty, but I could not have done this alone. Your people, their bravery and ingenuity were the true strength. I only helped guide it. The queen studied him, then nodded. Very well. Then let it be known, Elias Stone is hereby recognized as honorary protector of Vekara, not as a ruler, but as a guardian and ally. A murmur of approval rippled through the council. Lyra's face lit up with joy. She had finally seen her connection to Elias acknowledged, not as a curiosity, but as a bond worthy of respect. In the days that followed, Vekara began rebuilding. Human engineers working alongside Vaikara architects helped restore the crystalline towers, repair energy networks, and strengthen defensive systems. The collaboration revealed a remarkable truth. When two civilizations combined their knowledge and creativity, the result was more powerful and beautiful than either could achieve alone. Ilias spent time teaching new strategies to soldiers, combining human improvisation with Vaikara precision. Lyra assisted him, becoming a bridge between worlds. She learned to blend human tactics with her natural instincts, creating new methods of defense and problem-solving. Even the elders, initially skeptical of human involvement, grew to respect Ilias. They realized that his guidance was not about domination or control, but about partnership. Humanity's greatest strengths, courage, ingenuity, and empathy, were qualities that could elevate an entire civilization when applied wisely. The Queen approached Ilias one evening as he reviewed reconstruction plans. "You have done more than I could have imagined," she said quietly. "You have shown that humans can be allies, not threats, and you have given my daughter the guidance she needed to become the leader she will one day be." Ilias nodded. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I did what any human would hope to do, to protect and guide where I could, but your people's courage made it possible." Lyra appeared beside them, her small wings glowing softly in the evening light. "We did it together," she said simply. "Human and Vaikara side by side." The Queen's wings relaxed slightly, a rare sign of ease. "Perhaps this is only the beginning," she murmured. "The galaxy is changing, and humanity may play a role we cannot yet foresee. You have earned our respect and our trust, Captain Stone." News of Vaikara's victory and the collaboration with humans began to spread across the stars. Neighboring systems, once wary of human influence, started to reconsider. They saw not a conqueror, but a civilization capable of elevating others, of inspiring courage and innovation without force. Ilias and Lyra spent time observing the reconstruction, but also teaching. They helped soldiers develop new defensive strategies, worked with scientists to improve energy networks, and guided leaders in diplomacy. Their influence grew, not through fear, but through respect, collaboration, and example. One afternoon, as they walked along the Silver River, Lyra spoke quietly. "Father, do you think humans can really make a difference across the galaxy?" Ilias smiled, watching the sunlight dance on the water. "I know we can. Humans have a way of rising to challenges, of finding solutions when none seem possible. And when we work with others, when we inspire, guide, and protect, we can make a real difference." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "Then I will help too. I will use what I have learned from you to help my people and perhaps others beyond Vaikara." Ilias put a hand on her shoulder. "And you will. You are a bridge between worlds, Lyra. Humanity and Vaikara together. Your courage, wisdom, and heart will guide both our peoples." As the days passed, the city grew stronger. The scars of battle became lessons of resilience. Humans and Vaikara continued to work side by side, exchanging knowledge, learning from each other, and building a future where cooperation and understanding were stronger than fear or aggression. The Queen, observing her daughter and the human captain, finally allowed herself to hope. Perhaps the galaxy could be a place where different worlds learned from each other, where trust and courage forged bonds stronger than weapons or armies. One evening, as the twin moons rose once more, Ilias, Lyra, and the Queen stood together on the palace balcony. Below them, the city shimmered in recovery, a testament to the power of unity. Lyra's eyes shone as she looked at Ilias. "Father, thank you for helping me, for believing in me, and for believing in all of us." Ilias knelt beside her, his gaze gentle. "No, Lyra, thank you. You reminded me why humans explore, why we reach beyond our world. You reminded me that courage, trust, and love can shine even in the darkest times. Together, we have shown that anything is possible." The Queen's voice was soft, filled with pride. "Perhaps this is the future we have all been waiting for, a future where humans and Vaikara grow stronger together, inspiring hope across the stars." As they watched the horizon, the first rays of the new day bathed Vaikara in light. For the first time in a long time, the planet was at peace, not just from battle, but from fear. Humanity's presence had proven that courage, intelligence, and empathy could elevate civilizations, bridging worlds and inspiring hope. And somewhere across the galaxy, other civilizations began to take note. Humans were no longer just explorers. They were catalysts for unity, courage, and progress. Their reputation would spread not by conquest, but by the way they lifted others, inspired loyalty, and faced challenges with creativity and heart. Elias looked at Lyra, and she at him, a bond unspoken but stronger than any words. Together they had faced impossible odds, united two civilizations, and laid the foundation for a future where humans and aliens could rise together. The twin moons reflected in the Silver River, a symbol of balance, hope, and new beginnings. And for Captain Elias Stone, Princess Lyra, and Queen Vekara, this was more than a victory. It was the start of a new dawn, a new era where humanity's best qualities would shine across the stars, inspiring courage, wisdom, and unity for generations to come. The galaxy was watching, and humanity, for all its flaws and strengths, had proven it could be a force for hope.